Until you've needed money and a stranger has handed it to you. Until you've needed heat and a friend brought propane or wood or blankets or tents. Until you hiked the riverbeds to get home and someone brought new boots because yours were leaking or the soles fell off. Until you've shared everything that you have and there's no more, and a big truck rolls in with exactly what you were lacking. And this still happens every single day. Simple things like gas for the car if you're lucky enough to retain a car, and dents don't bother us. Water when there was no water. Food when there was no food. Socks when ours were gone. Clothes when many had escaped with what they had on their backs. Shelters when ours were gone. Laundry services and folks we'd never seen before washing our stinky, smelly clothes. Bathrooms and parking lots. It took a pretty good while for those services to come to town. Until then, we all just did what we could. The churches and fire departments started feeding people, a lot of people. Our restaurants donated all their food, all of it. Our people wouldn't go hungry. Our coffee shops gave everything they had to everyone they could. If there was meat, it got grilled up and served in parking lots. If there was water, it got carried door to door. You can't imagine the fear unless you heard the rain and felt the wind ripping your mountains away from you, until you've been soaked to the bone for days and didn't even notice because you were so busy about other things. You can't imagine the helplessness as you watched homes float down the river, and cars, and trees, big trees, and oil tanks, and heavy equipment, and bridges, and animals, and people. You can't imagine the mud, the overwhelming, smelly, horrific mud. So much mud. You can't imagine the helicopters until you heard them. The sirens, the dump trucks, the linemen, the first responders, the law enforcement, the leaders, the search and rescue boats, the chainsaws. Holy cow, the chainsaws. You can't imagine how bad it was, how bad it still is, how scary, how humbling, how the tears fall pretty often still, how much it affects us when the wind blows, or when we see a mud puddle start to form. You also can't imagine how good it was, how good people became with one raindrop, how quickly they literally rescued their neighbors, how this whole country has decided to make sure that the mountains have Christmas this year. Volunteers. When we've dug mud until we can't dig any further, they take over. When we've cut trees and piled brush till there's no more cutting, they've picked up the saws. When we have piled up our belongings so high we can't reach the top, the volunteers have jumped on the pile and struck a match or hauled it off. Little gravel pathways hand shoveled to camper doors so ladies didn't have to truck through the mud. Gift cards slipped into our pockets to buy groceries for the weekend. School kids shopping for their parents at free Santa shops so even mom and dad can have a little Christmas. It's been much, very, very, very much. It's been all the love, all the hurt, all the horror, all the humility, all the good, and all the bad. We feel it all, deeply, to our very bones. Eventually the mold will die, the mud will be shoveled out, the trucks will haul something besides gravel, the bridges will be crossable. We won't drive with blind stares so we don't have to keep hurting our eyeballs with what we're seeing. The flowers will bloom, the gardens will grow, the trees will be replanted, the front doors will close on newly rebuilt homes. The cars will be run through a car wash, the boots will last a little bit longer. But our hearts will never be the same. Ever, not ever. We'll never forget the generosity, the goodness, the helpfulness. We won't forget the bad, not possible. We also won't forget the good, not possible either. Unless you've lived it, you just can't imagine. I think we're going to have some music very shortly, so stand by.
It's a subtle art trying to find your place in it all. Finding purpose when I feel so small.